Vishtar Karino Do Nityananda Prabja Karunarena Bhushito Vyaktachano Burachincho Bhavande Vyasadupino Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goda Trisena Sri Chaitanya Namanobishtam Tapangena Bhutile Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam. So we are continuing this morning with Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and yesterday we heard very beautiful description of Mahaprabhu moving through the Vrindavan forest, and the whole environment is embracing him. The trees, the flowers, the creepers, the deer, the birds, the cows, they are all coming and having loving exchanges with Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is embracing the trees, the creepers. The cows are licking him. Very intense, ecstatic exchanges. The bumblebees, they're all singing joyfully. So this is the nature of Vrindavan. Nothing is neglected. In that plain, even Srila Sridhar Maharaj has pointed out, even every particle of soil is how is the way that he says it? I can't remember. But every particle of soil is, how can we say, experiencing deep reciprocation of love with the Lord. Even that verse, Pada Ramanam, even the soil is feeling Madhura Ras relationship with Krishna and Vrindavan. Whereas in this plane, what to speak of the ground that we step on, human beings are neglected and mistreated in so many ways. So this is Vrindavan. Every atom of the environment is engaged in deep Krishna-nushilanam. Okay, so I'll pick up from there. Stavar jangamili kore Krishna dhvani prabhur gambhir sware jeno prati dhvani. All moving and non-moving creatures then began to vibrate the transcendental sound of Krishna, as if they were echoing the deep sound of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mrigar gola dori prabhu kodendo dane, mrigar pula kange ashu nayane. The Lord then clasped the necks of the deer and began to cry. There was jubilation manifest in the bodies of the deer, and tears were in their eyes. Rikkadale shuka shari dilodara shan, tahadeki prabhur kichu shunite hoe loman. When a male and female parrot appeared on the branches of a tree, the Lord saw them and wanted to hear them speak. Shuka sharika prabhur hate udi pade, prabhu ke shunaya krishna guna shloka pade. Both parrots flew onto the hand of the Lord and began to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna. And the Lord listened. And now we have a verse from the Govinda Lilamrita, which is another composition of Kaviraj Goswami. So he's citing his own work. Sandaryam lalanali darya dalanam lila rama stambini viryam kandu kitadrivaryam amala pade parardam guna shilam sarva jananu ranjana maho yasyaham asmat prabhur vishwam vishwa janina kirtir avatat krishno jagan mohana. The male parrot sang, the glorification of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beneficial to everyone in the universe. His beauty is victorious over the gopis of Vrindavan, and it subdues their patience. His pastimes astound the goddess of fortune, and his bodily strength turns Govardhan Hill into a small toy like a ball. His spotless qualities are unlimited, and his behavior satisfies everyone. Lord Krishna is attractive to everyone. Oh, may our Lord maintain the whole universe. So this description here is a parallel to Krishna Lila, because in Krishna Lila there are these two parrots, Shuk and Shari, the male parrot and the female parrot. Shuk is the male parrot, Shari is the female parrot. And they have this type of competition between each other. The Shuk, the male parrot, is always trying to establish the supremacy of Krishna, and Shari, the female parrot, is always trying to establish the supremacy of Radharani. So they have these back and forths between each other. Shuka muke shuni. So the male Shuk, the male parrot, is glorified Krishna. Shuk muke shuni tobe Krishna varnan, Shadika padoye tobe Radhika varnan. After hearing this description of Lord Krishna from the male parrot, the female parrot began to recite a description of Srimati Radharani. And this is also from Govinda Lilamrita. Shiradikaya priyata surupata sushilata nartana gana chatori gunali sampad kavita charajate jagan mano mohana chitta mohini. The female parrot said, Srimati Radharani's affection, her exquisite beauty and good behavior, her artistic dancing and chanting and her poetic compositions are all so attractive that they attract the mind of Krishna, who attracts the mind of everyone in the universe. So everyone in the universe is charmed by Krishna, is captured by Krishna. But what is the attractive power of Radharani? That she can attract Krishna. So Krishna is Madan Mohan, whose power of attraction and charm is so great that he can bewilder Cupid. And who is Radharani? She is Madan Mohan Mohini. She can bewilder the minds of he who can bewilder Cupid. Punashuka kohe Krishna Madana Mohan Tobeya Shlok Shuka Kodilo Patam. Thereafter the male parrot said, Krishna is the enchanter of the mind of Cupid. He then began to recite another verse. And this is also Govinda Lilamrita. Vamshidadi Jagannadi Chittahadi Sashadike Vihadi Gopanadi Bir Jiyan Madana Mohana. The male parrot then said, My dear Shari, Sri Krishna carries a flute and enchants the hearts of all women throughout the universe. He is specifically the enjoyer of the beautiful gopis, and he is the enchanter of Cupid also. Let him be glorified. Punashadi kohe shuke kore parihas tahashuni prabho hoilo vishmoy premolas. Then the female parrot began to speak jokingly to the male parrot, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was struck with wonderful, ecstatic love to hear her speak. And now another quotation from Govinda Lilamrita. Radha Sange Jada, and this verse is one that we hear Gurudev quote. Radha Sange Jada Bhakti Tada Madana Mohana Anyata Vishwamohopi Swayam Madana Mohita. The female parrot, Shari, said, when Lord Sri Krishna is with Radharani, he is the enchanter of Cupid. Otherwise, when he is alone, he himself is enchanted by erotic feelings, even though he enchants the whole universe. And there's other very sweet verses describing their discussion, which they probably are also from Govinda Lilamrita. How does that? There's one. Amar Krishna Giridhari Chilo Shari Bole Amar Radha Shakti Dilo, something like that. That the Shuk, he says, my Krishna, he held Govardhan hill. And Shari replied, only because my Radha gave him the Shakti to do so. Shuk Shadi Udipona Gelo Rika Dale Mayade Nitya Prabhu Deke Kutuhale. Both parrots then flew onto a tree branch, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to watch the dancing of the peacocks with curiosity. Mayade Kanta Deki Prabhu Krishna Smriti Hoilo Premaveshe Mahaprabhu Bhumite Podilo. When the Lord saw the bluish necks of the peacocks, his remembrance of Krishna immediately awakened, and he fell to the ground in ecstatic love. Prabhure Murchita Deki Seto Brahman Bhattacharya Sange Kore Prabhur Santarpan. When the Brahmin saw that Mahaprabhu was unconscious, he and Balabhadra Bhattacharya took care of him. Haste Vyaste Mahaprabhu Loya Bahir Vas Chal Seka Kore Ange Vaste Vatas. They hastily sprinkled water over the Lord's body. Then they took up his outer cloth and began to fan him with it. Prabhu Karne Krishna Nam Kohe Ucha Kodi Chetan Paya Prabhu Jana Gada Gadi. They then began to chant the holy name of Krishna into the Lord's ear. When the Lord regained consciousness, he began rolling on the ground. Kantak Durgam Vane Anga Koto Hoilo Bhattacharya Kole Kori Prabode Shushta Koilo. When the Lord rolled on the ground, sharp thorns injured his body. Taking him on his lap, Balabhadra Bhattacharya pacified him. Krishna Veshe Prabhu Preme Gada Gada Man Bol Bol Kodi Uti Kode Nartan. The mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered in ecstatic love of Krishna. He immediately stood up and said, chant, chant. Then he himself began to dance. Bol, bol. Bhattacharya se vipra Krishna namagai nachite nachite pate Prabhu choli jai. Being thus ordered by the Lord, both Balabhadra Bhattacharya and the Brahmin began to chant the holy name of Krishna. Then the Lord, dancing and dancing, proceeded along the path. Prabhu prema veshteki Brahman vishmita Prabhodaka lagi vipra hoila chintita. The Brahmin was astounded to see the symptoms of ecstatic love exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then became anxious to give the Lord protection. Nila chole chila jaiche prema veshe man prema veshanman Vrindavana jaite pate hoilo shatagun. Mahaprabhu's mind was absorbed in ecstatic love at Jagannath Puri. But when he passed along the road on the way to Vrindavan, that love increased 100 times. Sahasragun prema bade mathura dada shane lakaguna prema bade brahmin jabhevane. The Lord's ecstatic love increased 1,000 times when he reached Mathura, but it increased 100,000 times when he wandered in the forests of Vrindavan. How can we cannot begin to understand such things. It's, infinite plus infinite multiplied by infinite plus infinite again. 1,000 infinite. Just this is beyond anything. Mahaprabhu's mind was absorbed in ecstatic love at Jagannath Puri. But when he passed along the road on the way to Vrindavan, that love increased 100 times. It increased 1,000 times when he visited Mathura, but it increased 100,000 times when he wandered in the forests of Vrindavan. Anyadesh prema uchale Vrindavana name Sakshat brahmaye bise Vrindavane Preme gar gar man rachi divase Snan mikadi nirvaha kode nabhyase. When Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavan was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in his commentary on this clarion call of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharmam prityaja mamekam sharanam raja. This raja here, it is a verb which means to, something like to go, and so something like that. So the verse is saying, or come. Krishna is saying, give up everything and come to me, right? Mame kam sharanam braja, come to take shelter of me. So, but this word raja, right, it also, when you hear the word raja, then you think of Vrindavan. Raja is also a word for Vrindavan, a name for Vrindavan. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gives an explanation there. There's a purport in our edition of Bhagavad Gita. I think he refers to it as dwani, a kind of ornamental Sanskrit, poetic, expression, something like that, where, another meaning is also indicated there. And so Gurudev, he expressed very sweetly, because this is at the end of Bhagavad Gita, right? So Gurudev, he expressed, when Krishna said that word, Raja, he was overcome with ecstasy, remembering Raja, remembering Vrindavan and his loving devotees there. And so then he could not say anymore. He said a few more verses and that was it. And his mind was fully absorbed in Raja. So here also we're hearing, just to hear the name of Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu's ecstasy is intensifying. When Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavan was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Now, when he was actually traveling in the Vrindavan forest, his mind was absorbed in great ecstatic love day and night. He ate and bathed simply out of habit. There's this example given elsewhere, and I think later in Chaitanya Charitamrita, something like a potter's wheel, like when, I think it's in regards to Mahaprabhu's last 12 years in this world, when he's really withdrawing, from his engagement with the world. And there's this analogy given of something like a potter's wheel. It's just spinning along. And so in this way, Mahaprabhu's internal world became, his full focal point. And he was just continuing with his daily activity, eating, bathing, sleeping, so on, these basic things, like a wheel just spinning along, like that, but wholly absorbed in this inner world. This is, we aspire for that. I mean, Not that we can be on that level, but this is where we want to go, or where our senses are withdrawing. Our senses are engaging with the environment. Our senses are engaging with the sense objects. But that has nothing to do with us. The eyes are attracted to a particular sight, the tongue to a particular taste. So on the ears, the mind is captured by so many nonsensical, useless ideas. But none of those things have anything to do with the real need of the person within. Yanisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami tasyam jagrati bhutani sanisha pashyato mune. This famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, that their self-realized soul, they are awake in the world of consciousness and spirit, and they are sleeping to this world of matter. And for the conditioned souls, it is just the opposite. They are very busy in the night of this world, of the senses. That is day for them. The darkness of the sensory plane, that is like day to the conditioned souls. And that world of consciousness, spirit, it is like night for them, because they have no access to it. It is darkness for them. There's this very, very curious and charming analogy. I'm pretty sure it's in Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary on this verse, where he says, what was it exactly that he said? I'm pretty sure it was, I think I noted it down. I can check in my Bhagavad Gita copy. But it was something very funny. He gave this analogy of a dancing girl holding, some people would do some dancing, holding something on their head. It's I think they do it in Brazil or something. People will dance with some, they're holding, like a basket of fruit. That was what was coming to mind, yeah. Like a basket of fruit on their head, and they're dancing. So while they're doing that, they have to give full attention that it won't fall. Full attention has to be that this is not, if they're going to be able to continue with this, have to give full attention. So he gave this analogy that we have to give that kind of attention, that type of focused attention to the upper world. If we lose our attention for a split second, then crash. Crash and burn. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavan was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Now, when he was actually traveling in the Vrindavan forest, his mind was absorbed in great ecstatic love, day and night. He ate and bathed simply out of habit. Such an intense degree of love. I was just remembering something someone told me. Sarva Bhavana Prabhu, one of our devotees in America, he said he told me, he asked Gurudev once, what is your favorite memory of Guru Maharaj? And Gurudev gave a very surprising answer. He told him how, Gurudev would have to go to Calcutta sometimes to attend to different duties. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj never liked him to go, and sometimes would stop him going, or send others to stop him, or send people to Calcutta to bring him back. But sometimes what Srila Sridhar Maharaj would do is he would wait for him on the road for when he was supposed to come back. He would wait for him. And And so it was interesting because it was actually, he's actually describing a moment of separation. You know? That was his favorite memory of Guru Maharaj. Like, what did, it's just, I can't really talk about it really. It's like, just so intense. Like, what degree of love, in Gurudev's heart and Guru Maharaj's heart. What kind of relationship between them. Such an intensity of love. Like when there's such a great degree of love, these small things, what could be considered small things from like an empiric or objective view, like they would be inconsequential, right? But when love is permeating the relationship in such an intense way, then even these small things take on such huge significance. Hemata prem javad ramilo barvan ekatra likilu sarvatra najai varnam. Thus I have written a description of the ecstatic love Lord Chaitanya manifested in one of the places he visited while walking through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. To describe what he experienced everywhere would be impossible. Vrindavane hoilo prabhur jatek preme vikar koti grante ananta liken tahar vishtar. Lord Ananta writes millions of books elaborately describing the transformations of ecstatic love experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan. Tabuliki bade nade tareka kan udesh korite kori dikdarashan. Since Lord Ananta himself cannot describe even a fragment of these pastimes, I am simply pointing out the direction. Jagad basilo chaitanya lilar patare jar jata shakti tata patare santare. The whole world became merged in the inundation of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can swim in that water to the extent that he has the strength. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Jarash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Well, it is very short, but I feel like it's a good meditation to stop on. So maybe we'll stop at the end of that chapter. So we just heard chapter 17, the Lord travels to Vrindavan, and we hear something of his movements there, and then the next chapter is called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Vrindavan, so we'll hear more of his stay in Vrindavan. Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Shri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Namaha. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Giri Gopinata Madana Mohana Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chanda Radha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Jai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana Shaha Hoite Vignana Shabishta Purana Jai Gosai Jai Muita Dhanasa Nansa Bada Bada Deno Vara Pancharasa Anjana Charana Sebi Bhakta Sanimhasa Janame Janame Mohe Abhilasha Jai Gosai Jabe Braje Koi no Basa Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Kodila Prakasha Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Padma Kodi Hasa Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Kodi Hasa Harinam Sankirtan Kore Narottama Dasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Jai Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivajakacharya Vaya Ashtotar Shatashi Shila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Deva Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Deva Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Bhagavan Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Saprashat Shima Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Shri Guru Goranga Radha Girir Hariju Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Shri Ganga Jamuna Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Vinda Devi Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Shamakam Radhakam Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Kol Karta Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai Vishwavyapi Tadya Shakamat Ki Jai Jai Shri Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai Seva Vrinda Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Jai Gaur Premanande